Welcome back. Tonight, Evelyn Akinyi-Odongo of Akinyi-Odongo, Kenya, joins us to share her entrepreneurial journey. From humble beginnings today, she has dressed First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, Martha Karua, Ruth Odinga, Jendai Fraser, radio personality Renee Gamal, among other high-profile personalities from across the world. She's just returned from Cape Town, South Africa, representing Kenya in a sourcing event, and is also heading to New York in August to test the markets there. Evelyn, thank you so much for joining us on Citizen Business Center tonight. Just reading your profile, you know, one sees your success to start it off, but has it always been this easy for you?
Wow. I think that's a question that everybody asks me all the time, and to be honest, I always say the first thing I always say is I honor God in everything that I do. If it were not for God, I wouldn't be where I am today, because it's been a journey. And being raised up, I was born in a village called Rangala.
In Siaya?
In Siaya district. I'm a second born in a family of 6, and I went to high school in Rangala Girls, so I'm a total village girl.
So how did the village get to where it is today?
I mean, I think my upbringing was very, very, very stable. My dad, who was a buzzer in a school, he's retired right now, and he ensured that he educated us, took us to school. And I remember as we grew up, sometimes my dad could say, you know, you never know where life will take you. So when schools are closed, he'd take us to Kisumu. I mean, go to a supermarket shop, have a feel of a supermarket, go to a hotel, use a fork and knife. So he prepared us, I mean, at an early age. And as I grew up as well, I was a very active girl. I loved art, painting and drawing, dancing, singing, anything art.
So did you know you were always going to be, did you know you were going to be a fashion designer?
Not necessarily. Fashion was not part of my thoughts when I was growing up. I think I'll be a fashion designer. But my mother inspired me because she was a tailor. So in her process, I used to see her do clothes, and I would observe her as she does that. And when I did high school, my art was my best subject. Actually, I knew I would be a painter or a drawer and a singer. I'll soon launch my CD, don't worry. And along the line, I figured out, no, this is not what I want to do, because after high school, then I went for military training. And again, after 2.5 years, I realized the courses that they have is not what I want to do.
So you wanted to become a soldier?
I did full training.
So you're an officer?
Fully trained.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never wanted to focus on that. But everything in life has you learn from it. Because again, that training has made me become very focused. You don't fear, you're never intimidated. You can always face anything, every challenge that you have in life.
So you went to Evelyn's
then I went to Evelyn's college when I was already a mother. I'm a mother of 3 already, and I have 2 high schoolers and 1 who is in primary. And when I went to Evelyn's College of Design to do fashion, it was my passion, so I knew I was going to do it, but it wasn't a walk in the park. Paying school fees was a challenge, and a number of things. Fast forward, it was never easy, but I never gave up. I could see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it didn't matter to me where I was or what I'm going through. I made a decision to actually pursue what God intended me to do. So
would you say that was one of the biggest challenges in your formation years as a fashion designer during college? Yeah, it wasn't easy. I had to really struggle with it, but there's always a way out. Because sometimes I meet younger people, because I do a lot of mentoring. I meet younger people, and they have a lot of complaints of things that are not working. And sometimes when something is not working, you better be creative about it. Like for doing my projects, if I couldn't afford the fabrics, I could go to Kibera Toy and buy the cheap fabrics of 30 shillings, 20 shillings, the old sheet section, and use it for my project. And I mean, I could still do something, and eventually the clothes still looked really nice. Talking about nice clothes, you know, you have really grown since your days of what you just said, buying, you know, sheets at Toy Market. Where are you now? Who's Evelyn now? As a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur? Wow, who is Evelyn now? An interesting question.
where I am right now is a very, very critical stage of my life in terms of entrepreneurship and in the fashion industry. Number one, I'm in an industry that people don't perceive to be very professional, or you can't achieve the highest that you could, because there's no actually you don't find there's no systems in place. So you try as an entrepreneur, you really try to put your own systems and try to see how then do you fit into the market. And where I am right now is where we are going international, like Kenya, Dongo, Kenya, where we want to position ourselves internationally. And the reason why we did this is because our local market has informed us with that information, because our brand is good and our quality is very good, and wherever they travel all over the world, they say, oh wow, where did you get this piece? I got it in Kenya. Like, what? You know, is it done? And there's a question where people keep asking me, was this thing stitched? Even the jacket that I wear my designs 24/7. So, and people keep asking, where did you buy that? And I say, no, no, it's locally done, and people don't believe in it. Then I realized that we don't believe in what we have locally here. So I took it upon myself to take it to the next level, where I want to go and export. If you look at the Kenyan economy, we import more than we export. And that doesn't work well with an economy of a nation. So we decided as a company to go a notch higher and say, oh, let's try this. It's not an easy thing to do, but just get in and figure out how then do you beat international standards. I've really gotten a lot of support from Export Promotion Council, which is a government institution. I managed to go to them and tell them, hey, I want to do this. And they've been really working towards training me into getting to the export market. So I've got KEB certification. I work with KIRDI, Nairobi University, and they're amazing. And also Ministry of Industrialization, brand. I just try to work out my way and see who is going to make sure that this thing works.
How have you managed to grow your brand? You know, when you look at some of the Kenyan products, and as you correctly say, perhaps Kenyans don't fully support homegrown brands. What were some of the tenets that you can take away from this is how you build a brand? Because when we said we were going to host you tonight, we got a couple of people, you know, saying, how did she get there? You know, what are some of the things you'd tell young entrepreneurs in terms of brand building?
I think for me, what really stands out is work, hard work. It's been 11 years in this industry for me, and when I started, and it's been even 10 years, some still perceive, you'll find that even older designers who've been there before, they'll still refer to you as a junior designer, because someone thinks because they've been there for quite a long time, you don't deserve even to be listened to. Those are some of the challenges that even young designers face, and the reason why I don't blame Kenyans for not buying local, but there's a challenge because we don't give quality. Because there's a perception that anything local doesn't have to be quality. So it's upon us as entrepreneurs to go in and do quality work. And I've tested and I've done, we're working towards improving our quality every day. And the more we improve the quality, the more Kenyans say, we want this, we want this, we want this. Even going to our Kenya Dongo Kenya brand, it's informed by the Kenyans themselves, because they keep telling me, Evelyn, let's do this, let's do this. When are you opening shop? When are you exporting? When are you doing this? They're really following up, and that really gives me encouragement to move ahead.
How did you get to dressing the First Lady?
Wow, I do believe in miracles. It's a long story. It's really a long story. And
give me the short version.
And sometimes it's being at the right place at the right time, and God working His ways. Because for me, my journey, my business is purely a miracle for me. It's purely God. I always talk about it, and I can never shy away from it. There was an event, Origin Africa, in 2014, and it was the first time, and the organizers were looking, how do we make this event become very interesting? And one of the things that we were going to have a catwalk, a runway, different designers from all different countries in Africa. And of course there was a committee that was put to decide, and a group of, I wasn't part of the committee, but there was a group that was put that is going to follow up on this. And there was a slot where the First Lady was supposed to do the runway. And you know, of course everybody was looking into this and saying, wow, every designer was looking to have the opportunity. And people who are making decisions in terms of organizing the event just looked around. I think sometimes when you do your work and do it well, you may be seated somewhere and people keep observing, and someone just said, why don't you let's have this girl do it, you know. And the rest is history. And for me, that was the biggest miracle for me, because she was the first personality to wear the Akinyi Odongo brand for the international market. So it was quite timely for me, for the First Lady to take the first ever runway, I think, in the world. I don't think there's any first-sitting First Lady who has ever done a catwalk on a runway.
Would you say that was your big break?
It was my big break. It was my big, and it was a miracle. And not only my big break, but a big break for the Kenyan fashion industry, because the First Lady really supports the local brands. Not only does she wear local clothes, but jewelry, watch her every day. So I think it's a big break for the industry, not just for me, because it's not just about me, because I'm very passionate about the fashion industry in Kenya. And I take it upon myself that I have a responsibility to stand in that pillar in this nation and to mentor other younger designers to find it easier for them to move ahead, not the way I got it. So for me, it was an opportunity and support that is for the fashion industry, not just for me. Yeah.
I know you're doing something about mentorship, and I want to come to that in just a moment, but we're getting questions about capital for fashion designers. Where do you start? How much did you start your business with, for instance? And what can you advise young fashion designers who are raring to get into that space?
Number one thing that I always tell people is that you don't need money to start business. My thinking. And again, people come from different backgrounds, different families. There are those who will have money and you can have it all. And there are those who think, without money I can't do anything. I started my business with 25,000 shillings. And then I bought a machine. There was a lady who was traveling abroad and she sold me a machine at 5,000. And I bought a little bit of fabrics, and that was it. And when I started, I used to walk on the streets of Nairobi and ask people, can I stitch for you? And some would chase you away, some would say, how sure are you? So it's been a journey. So it's about just picking up yourself and doing something with yourself, because sometimes when you wait for the capital, someone else to give you money, nobody wants to give you money. And my experience was that no one wants to give you money on something that they haven't seen. So do you sit waiting for money to come on your laps? No, you have to do something. So it's about work. As I mentor the younger designers and bloggers, and I have over 100 designers in the design industry that I mentor, and I tell them, let's work. In fact, if you ask any of them, they tell you work, 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 work. What does Evelyn say? You work. Let's work. Because sometimes we pursue fame and pursue being known, and we forget we need to work. Because one of the things that maybe right now is when people will be hearing Evelyn, 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 but nobody knew about me 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Yet I was doing my business, but I really focused on perfecting my work and doing the right thing, being diligent and committing myself to my work. And as I committed myself, then I got the following, and clients kept coming and they keep referring other people. So it's about work, and there's no shortcut to anything. I tell the younger people, let's work, let's move. Yeah.
All right. Talking about mentorship, you've just launched a fashion hub. As we wind up, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about
one of the mentees that I mentor is called Wilkins Odinga. He just launched, come up with the fashion hub, the first fashion hub in Eastern Central Africa, where younger designers would go. There's space for them to go and stitch, because sometimes there are designers who don't even have machines. They don't have working space. So there's available working space. There's training. I'm one of the mentors in the hub. I'll be able to mentor a lot of them. And it's about building the fashion industry and make it something that people will actually look at and say, hey, yeah, because we want to reach a stage where the government can wake up and say, hey, what's going on? I mean, we need to know about these fashion designers. It's time for us to work together. The time of working in our little corners as designers is long gone, because if you work separately, then we're not going anywhere. And if we assume the younger people, then we are headed to no direction. So I think for me, I decided to step into that shoe and say, how do I create change? I may not be the one to see the success right now, but I want to know that somebody somewhere was mentored properly and did their business and achieved much more even than I was able to achieve.
Wow, thank you so much. Evelyn Akinyi Odongo of Akinyi Odongo Kenya, fashion entrepreneur, sharing with us her journey as an entrepreneur. We'll be back in a moment.